Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today it's time for part 2 of the VR that I do for the hashtag TarotFHU, which was created by Lisa Papez. I will have a link to her original video in the video description, and I decided to um, to split this up into several videos because she had 4 different sections. And the first one was deck references, which I already did a video. And the second one, which we will do today, is buying and backing decks and all of the questions that fit under this category. Because I added a lot of questions, especially in the deck references part, which led to that video being an hour long. I decided to split this up into several parts and adding questions that came to my mind when I thought about these categories, um, which weren't already asked by Lisa. So that is that. So today we're talking about buying and backing decks, and we will start right into it, I would say. So the first question is, where do you go to look for new decks you may want to buy? And I have several things that I go to. So first of all, and most of all, is probably be or my is YouTube and all the channels that I follow um, in the TarotTube universe. Let's see if it will focus. So Simon over the Hermit's Cave, Lisa Papez, Boho Tarot, Sparkle Divine Tarot, um, Tom Benjamin, of course, Jen's Balance Tarot, Nina from Shuffle Tarot, Tara from Kittens, Waits and Tarot, Kelly from The Truth and Story, Hazel Jane Tarot, Papa Squirrel, Peekaboo Rose, Anthony Sunset Bow Tarot, the Three Fat Readers channel, which is a collaborative channel. Um, of Lisa Papez, Danny from Danny Mystics, and he had a channel rename. Oh my gosh, you guys. Modern Metaphysic is he has his is his channel now called. Heather Carter, of course. And so that is basically where I find my decks by watching walkthroughs, flip throughs, reviews, or just deck collection videos. I love to watch those videos, and even though I might not be one of the first ones to hear about new decks, I'm still most of the times able to get them if I want to. And so that is the thing that I do most of the times. Another thing is on Instagram, following people who do free readings on Instagram or to who share their layouts, their um, practice, and especially when we talk about decks, Indie Deck Review is a amazing Instagram channel that shares all of the indie decks, that reviews them, shows you some of the cards and all of that, and you can do further research when you have seen them on there. And last but not least, of course, I will look at pre-orders or new decks that are coming out mass market on Amazon or Book Depository. But I also find my indie decks because I live in Germany. It is oftentimes indie decks aren't as easy to get for me because they're more expensive because of 20 or sometimes even 30 euros alone for shipping, plus taxes, plus costumes. So it's not really easy to get them because of that high price, but also because with shipping, then you need to wait a long time until it gets here. And when it leaves the United States, then tracking won't function because our German post office will give the package another tracking number, which you don't have. So you don't really know where it is at in Germany and when it comes to you. And so that is a whole lot of chaos. So I really love when I can get a indie deck. Um, with little indie shops that sell them, which are in Europe or at least not as far away as the United States or Canada. Um, so the first one is houseofformlab.com. These are based in the Netherlands, I believe, or Holland or something like that. Um, I should have looked that up about. They also have a Instagram channel which I follow, Amsterdam. So they are based in Amsterdam and they have all those gorgeous indie decks, indie tarot and oracle decks, as well as some mass market decks. And so that is a lot easier for me because I don't have to buy a lot of taxes and costumes because they are based in Europe as I am here in Germany. And delivery is also faster. And they also have amazing crystals. So if I buy from them, it's also that I get different. Another thing is that I get different indie decks together in one package and not 5 different packages all around the world. And I can order some crystals too, so I found that really nice. And another thing that is really popular is Little Red Tarot. They are based in the UK, which is after 2020, not longer because of Brexit, a member of the EU, but they are still. Shipping will still be faster, and I think the taxes won't be as high on costumes as if I would order something from the United States. And also, um, it is a plus that I can order several indie decks and they come all together in one package. So that is also the thing where I look what they got in and what they have in store and what is new on their pages. So that is that question. Question number 2 is what has been your best and worst Kickstarter or crowdfunding experience? That is a really short answer by me because I never have backed a deck on Kickstarter or any other crowdfunding websites. Not because I don't want to, but because oftentimes they're only accepting credit cards and that stuff, and I don't have a credit card, so I can't um, buy over Kickstarter and stuff. So I need to wait until the deck's on pre-order or and hope that there are some decks left so I can yeah, buy one for me as well. How do you decide what decks you want to buy or bag is question number 3. And for me, it is really important um, that I see images of the cards, I can read the description, maybe I can even do my own research, that the creator has a really good website where they explain what their intent is behind the deck, why they chose a specific theme or topic for the deck, and all of that stuff. But most importantly is for me to see a walkthrough or reviews. Um, Reviews maybe not as important, but walkthroughs, because I really want to make sure that the artwork and how the cards are depicted and what I'm getting, especially with Oracle decks, in terms of what messages are in there. Like, do I like the keywords? Are there even keywords on the cards, or are there just titles on the cards which don't make sense to me and I can't work with them? And with a tarot and oracle, how is the art style, how they decided to depict the cards, and if they differ a lot from RWS or your basic, more traditional meaning. Then I want to see if the guidebook addresses that and explains why they have decided to depict it in that way and if it makes sense for me. And Yeah, so that is what I do. I search for walkthroughs. If there are any out there, I will watch them and then decide if I liked what I have seen and if it will work for me or not. And oftentimes that really saves me money, and oftentimes it really works because when I then decide to get a deck, it really in reality works for me as well. Sometimes there are cases where I watch several walkthroughs and I'm still not sure if that deck would work for me and I really want to get it or not. These are the decks which are hopping on and off of my wish list. And these are the decks where I need to buy to see if they will work or not. And sometimes they will and sometimes they don't. Um, but sometimes you really need the deck in your hands and that personal work with the deck to see it. But not as often, at least for me. Oftentimes, in 90% of the cases, I can decide while watching several walkthroughs at least if the deck will work for me or not. So that is how I decide if I want to buy a deck or not. Question number 4 is how much is too much to spend on a deck? That is a really hard question to answer because, as well as what works for you in terms of a tarot deck and what doesn't, or what works for you in terms of an oracle deck and what doesn't, it's up to you to decide how much is too much for you personally to spend on a deck. It depends on your budget that you have for purchasing stuff that you don't really need to survive, for spending on your hobby. Um, and it depends on the deck itself. Like, is it a mass market deck or is it an indie deck? What are you getting with the package? Um, so that is at least a thing that I consider for a mass market deck. Um, I have a lower price range than for an indie deck because indie decks are oftentimes more expensive because they oftentimes have a better quality in terms of cardstock and packaging, and they're not mass produced. So that um, is a good reason for them to have higher prices. And also, if it is really a deck that you really want to have, that maybe is, that is just the one deck for you, then of course you will be, and that maybe is also indie deck, which, or a limited amount of the decks are produced. So for that, I'm more likely to spend more money on than if it's a deck that I like, but I'm not head over heels on it. And so for me, my price range, these are the categories and the things that I decide my price range on. My price range is probably for indie decks, maybe $100 to $120, or euro. I don't know what in dollar that maybe even a little bit more because of the differences in terms of dollar and euros. Um, And for mass market deck, it depends on the quality and how much I like the deck and how many cards are in there and what the guidebook is and the packaging is in there. Maybe 50 euro probably. But as I said, that depends. It is really personal. So, all right, question number 5. Do you have deal breaker cards? Cards that have to feel right to pull the trigger on a deck? And if so, what are they? Yes, I do. That doesn't mean that if I really like a deck and every other card in the deck is amazing and just one of my deal breaker cards is like, it's not really perfect for me, but I can still work with it and the rest is amazing in the deck, then I will still buy it. But these are the cards that I look at, I will definitely take a look at, and they have to work for me. And if more than maybe 2 of the deal breakers cards are a no-no for me and they don't work for me at all, and the rest of the deck is beautiful, but it's not overwhelmingly gorgeous for me, then that could break, that could lead to to that I don't buy the deck. So, excuse my horrible English today. Um, it's really hard for me to find the right words sometimes, so sorry. At least today, I don't know what is going on. So the first one is the High Priestess card. The High Priestess card was the first card that I really loved and it really stood out to me, even in the traditional RWS. Um, and that was at a time where I don't even know, or where I didn't even know what the cards mean. Um, but I really loved that image and it really stood out to me. And when I took that deep dive into tarot and I learned the meanings and all of that, it really resonated to me. And I love the High Priestess in terms of its imagery, even in the RWS, but also in terms of the meaning behind it. I just love her. And so the High Priestess is a card for me that has to work. And what's important about the High Priestess for me is that we see some connection to water, that we see some connection to the moon, and that she looks powerful. Um, that is really important for me. I have talked about the High Priestess in a more in-depth video where I really talked about what needs to be there for me to be the perfect High Priestess card. I think that was in the 31 Days of Tarot tag in one of those videos. The next one is the Justice card, a card that I couldn't really get at first. I know what justice means, but the different nuances behind that, um, and the different meanings that come behind just the justice aspect, I struggled with at first. And I really have a personal connection right now to the Justice card because she came up and I will never forget that. Um, and showed me what would happen and what is important to know right now and what I should do. But I didn't want to hear it. And after that thing happened, I really have recognized what justice can mean and what she wanted to say. And so my understanding of the justice card is really, um, is really defined by that experience. And I will never forget that. So justice is an important card for me, and I want to see the sword or something that I can make that connection to, or that I can that I can make that connection to what the sword is meaning to me in that specific card. I really like to see a really strong, independent, regal-looking, confident woman in my Justice cards. Um, and I want to see the sword as something else present, and because the sword for me is almost more important in the Justice card than the scales. Um, because that is what justice is for me about. It's about cutting through the fog, um, cutting through emotions, through fears and illusions um, and our confused mind, and just seeing the objective truth and being forced to look at it and confront it and deal with it. Um, and so that is a really important aspect to me. Then, so these, in terms of the majors, are my top two cards that I will take a look at, the High Priestess and Justice. And they really have to make sense to me, and I really have to like what I see in there. Some other major arcana cards are Death, because I want to see some way of death. That doesn't have to be a skeleton with the scythe riding on a horse and being creepy, but I want to see a little bit of an ending, a decay, and not with death, not having the death card be too lighthearted and too softened up or washed out, because I really want to see those difficult cards. And the same goes for the Devil card and the Tower card. I want to see that they are challenging cards. And they don't have to be a bad omen or a bad card, but I want to see that challenging aspect. And I don't like when they wash out these cards. The same with the Devil. I like when we have an image where a person looks into the mirror, or like in the Cesare Bito, where you just see a human figure, which is quite simple and maybe not as frightening as when we look at the actual devil image, like in these two. But it still works. There is still a challenge that you can see in there. Um, and also in the tower, I want to see um, like I want to see some destruction or a falling down of something, a shake up, so to speak. And if that shake up is good or bad depends on the situation and depends on what is blown up. But I want to see the challenging aspect in the tower as well. So in terms of the minors, for me, what is important is I want to see a difference between the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords. Both are about disruption because of the fives, are about conflict, are about a fight. But I really want to see that the Five of Swords fight can be really serious and there are consequences. And the Five of Wands fight, or for me, not necessarily fight, but a conflict that can arise from that challenging, um, challenging aspect. Out of play, it can get serious. Or an inner conflict. I often interpret the Five of Wands also as an inner conflict or as a competition, where the Five of Swords is really about dealing with the consequences because of a fight, or because something it was mean or wasn't the right action to take. And I want to see that difference. And oftentimes the Five of Wands looks really, yeah, depicts a really serious fight as well. And that is not the Five of Wands for me. It's more about that competition aspect and that play that can lead into chaos and struggle and a little bit of a fight there. So I want to see the difference in those. Since we were the swords, the Eight of Swords is a really important card to me, and what I want to see in there is some way of being tied up, being bound together, not being able to move necessarily quite easily. But I want to see, so I really love the traditional imagery here, but I want to see that there is a possibility for her to get out, or that it's just in her head. So, but if it's really traditional, like RWS based, I really love that too. Another really important card for me is the Two of Cups. I really want to see a connection that has been made, and a really intimate connection. People that are allowing each other to open up to somebody else, and to really let that other person into themselves, and let them see who they really are and what's going on inside as well. And so I really love this depiction where they're looking each other deep into their eyes, the eyes as a portal to the soul. And also this where they really decide to, yeah, to mix up their emotional worlds and to connect also physically. So I really want to see that. And another aspect with the Two of Cups, I want to see two different energies coming together. If that is depicted by two biological genders, or by different skin colors, or whatever the case is. But I want to see something different between the two people. Another really important card is the Nine of Cups for me. And with the Nine of Cups, it's not really for me about that wish fulfillment. It can be, of course, and it can also be about maybe overdoing it a little bit, and drink too much or enjoy something too much and losing yourself into that. But for me, the Nine of Cups is more about learning to accept yourself and get to know yourself better, and yeah, do something for yourself, learn to love yourself. It's about that self-love, and that finding completeness in yourself and with yourself, and accepting who you are, and get to know your body, get to know your emotions. So really, so these are three examples. And another, and one of my favorite Nine of Cups from the Cesar Tarot. Another thing that I want to see is, I want to see a difference between the Nine of Cups and the Ten of Cups. In some decks, you see in the Nine of Cups a happy couple or a happy family, and in the Ten of Cups as well. So what is the difference? Um, so that doesn't really make sense to me. And I want to see, so for me, the Nine of Cups is more about that self-love, self-acceptance, get to know yourself, being content with yourself, and you don't really need another one to feel complete and feel happy and enjoy life. And the Ten of Cups is then that culmination of, because you have accepted yourself and learned to love yourself, you can give the love to somebody else, and somebody else can give the love and the feelings to you. And so that is the culmination. And so I want to see a difference in there. And some decks don't do that. They show a couple in the 9 and in the 10, or a single person in the 9 and in the 10. And so what is the difference then? So these were all of the cards that I take a look at and that are important to me. And these were all of the questions that Lisa did ask. I have two more questions added. The first one is it important to you that a deck is environmental friendly produced or shipped? So, because I have seen that that becomes more and more a trend to use not as much plastic, or if you use plastic that is um, that biological, like recyclable or even compostable plastic. For me, I like when I see decks that do that, where you don't have a plastic wrap about around the packaging, and then a plastic wrap about the deck itself, and then some more plastic in whatever the heck. Um, to really be aware of that and reduce that. But it's not like, because it's still a thing that most of the decks come wrapped in plastic. So if I really want a deck and there isn't an option for me to choose from, I can't really do anything about it. I have to buy the deck as it comes. I can write the creator or the publisher to maybe think about that, but that is it. But it always makes me happy when I see that maybe only the outside package is wrapped in plastic, or even not the outside package, and the cards aren't inside there, or they have just a little ribbon around them that is maybe a paper ribbon or something that hold them together. Because for me, when you have plastic around a package, it is, and the cards are inside a package, the cards are protected already because of the package and the plastic around the package. So why do you have to shrink wrap the whole card deck into plastic again? That doesn't make any sense. So that is that. And the last question that came to my mind is, are goodies or extras that come with the deck, and these are with indie decks most of the times, a must for you? Do you want to see something that comes with an indie deck when you order it, or is it not really important? Maybe you don't even like getting some goodies because you don't need them and they just take room. So I really love when I order a deck and I open it up, and that open up experience is like really like you have birthday or Christmas in that way. Because not only are you excited to finally have the deck in your hands, but then you open it up and there are some little surprises in there. Maybe that the creator didn't even talk about. And you're like, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff? So I really love it, and I really appreciate that they do that. And it doesn't have to be a really huge thing like an extra crystal or a reading cloth or something. I'm really happy if the deck is just amazingly wrapped, like, and um, I will keep them. Like this was a wrap where a deck was in. I think that was the package for the Bad Bitches Tarot. This was by Anthony, and it's just amazing when you open up the package and see the decks beautifully packed in beautiful paper and little stickers on there. I mean, it's a little thing, and it's not really extra. It's just the packaging, but it's amazing. It really makes me happy, and it shows for me that the creator really cares about, um, yeah, about it, their customers, and that they really appreciate your order. Or like one of the wraps that I also have is this that I have kept. And this was where the Claire de Lune Lenormand was wrapped in by Anna Turian. And how amazing is that? It really fits the deck. It was amazing when I opened the packaging up, the box up, and I saw this with the gorgeous moon sticker on there. So this is what I use where I have the deck actually on. So it will be like this, and I have two gorgeous moons. It's a little thing, it's not really expensive, it's not actually an extra, but it really makes me happy. Or just putting in a thank you card, like with oracles that I have bought by Naja Paz. Like this is basically a business card, but she personally wrote on it, thank you. And that is amazing. I really love that. Or a postcard actually with a little thank you note and some more information with the that came with the Inner Compass Oracle by Heather Carter. Um, and you see, I keep all of them. I have here a box where I keep my wrappings and bookmarks that I got with different decks and thank you cards, sometimes even from the shops that sell indie decks. Like this is from Phoenix and Lotus, and a thank you card. So I really love that, and it's just a simple thing. It's not really expensive to do that, but just to show the appreciation. I mean, if a creator doesn't do that, it won't keep me from actually buying the deck if I really like it. But if they do, I really love that. And also, if there are really some extras in there, not only a thank you card and beautifully packaged, but some extra crystals or extra goodies, an extra bag or something, I really, really appreciate that as well. These are two crystals that came with the decks. This is one that came with an oracle deck, like the Looking Glass Oracle or something like that by Naja Pass, which I already showed you the thank you card. And this crystal point came actually with the Badass Baby Unicorns Tarot, which is amazing. So I really love when they do that, and I really appreciate when they do it. I prefer it. It doesn't have to be a crystal or anything because I know that this can be quite expensive. If you produce a lot and ship a lot, you need a lot of crystals. Um, but it just has to be a little thank you card, a personal note, or just put the deck into with a sticker and wrap it gorgeously. I really prefer that because that adds to that specialty of an indie deck as well. So that was it for part 2, buying and backing decks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for you in any way. I really would love to hear your thoughts about that. So yeah, write a comment where you answer the questions. Um, or do your own VR, do a post on Instagram using the tag TarotFHQ. So yeah, I really would love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you already have done a VR to this, let me know down in the comments so I can watch. And yeah, thank you for watching. And thank you if to all of my subscribers for watching, for subscribing. I really appreciate that. And until next time, you guys, bye.